Hello gearheads and subscribers, welcome to my channel The Racing Helmet. Today we want to talk about BMW N54 engine, its history, its strengths, its weaknesses and tuning potential. So stick around until the end of the video if you want to learn more about this engine. BMW N54 is the twin turbocharged inline-six engine that was produced by BMW. This engine was designed alongside the naturally aspirated N53 engine. Both engines have direct injectors, double Venus, an open-deck engine block, and an electric fuel pump. BMW N54 was designed to replace the older M54 engine. The key difference was that this engine had two turbochargers, therefore this engine could produce 80 more horsepower than the old M54 B30. This engine also had 30 horsepower advantage compared to its naturally aspirated version, the N53. BMW N54 was first introduced in 2006 in BMW 3 Series. The E90, E91, E92 and E93 335i. At the time this engine could produce 302 horsepower. This engine later were used in different BMW models such as E60, E61 535i, E82, E88 135i, E71 X6 and E89 Z4 S-Drive 35i. Newer variant of N54 with high horsepower was introduced in 2008 for F1 740i. In 2011, this engine also found its way inside E92 and E93 335i. However, the most powerful version of N54 is found in E82 1 Series, M Coupe and E89 Z4 S-Drive 35i. Following the introduction of BMW N55 in 2009, N54 began to be phased out. The final model powered by N54 is the E89 Z4 Roadster, which was produced until 2016. BMW N54 won the Best New Engine Award in 2007 and it also won International Engine of the Year Award in 2007 and 2008. BMW N54 is also BMW's first mass-produced turbocharged petrol engine and BMW's first turbocharged petrol engine since the limited production of BMW N106, which was discontinued in 1986. This means that BMW N54 was the first turbocharged engine BMW produced in almost 30 years. Now that we have covered its history, let's talk about its engineering and strengths. BMW N54 was designed with forced induction in mind. This engine was equipped with small pressure turbocharger which operate in parallel, an aluminium crankcase, iron cylinder liners, and a steel crankshaft. It had a forced crankshaft and connecting rods with cast pistons. Every turbocharger is in charge of its 3 cylinders from the block. BMW M54 engine has a boost pressure of 8 psi. BMW N54 used two Mitsubishi TD03 TK3 turbochargers. You can tell the engine was built to be tough under pressure, which means that this engine can handle a lot of horsepower on stock internals. On stock internals, this engine can handle around 600 wheel horsepower. However, with modified internals, this engine can handle upwards of 800 horsepower. I've covered its strengths. Now let's talk about the weaknesses. This engine, although decent, has a lot of issues. Some of those issues are high pressure fuel pump failure, turbocharger failure, and wastegate rattle, charge pump failure, valve cover oil leak, and water pump failure. Between the issues I've mentioned, high pressure fuel pump failure is the most common one. This issue became so common BMW recalled a lot of N54s built from 2007 until 2010. The recall was applied to 130,000 cars, resulting in the replacement of high-pressure fuel pump in 40,000 cars. Second most common issue is the wastegate rattle. In simple terms, the wastegate controls the maximum boost pressure created by the turbos, which protects both the engine and the turbocharger. Water pumps on N54 engine are another fragile piece of equipment. The water pump is responsible for pumping water into radiator in order to cool down the engine temperatures. Along with your engine fan, the water pump and radiator are important parts of your cooling system. The N54 water pumps typically fail around 70,000 to 8,000 kilometers. One of the issues many N54 engines face is the charge pipe failure. The charge pipe holds boost pressure until released by blow-off valve. The problem with N54 charge pipe is that BMW made them out of plastic. Even on stock, the charge pipe can still fail. If you plan on modifying your N54, upgrading the charge pipe is a must. Now that we have covered the issues of N54, let's talk about the tuning potential. Before tuning BMW N54 needs some supporting mods. What supporting mods basically means is to make an engine ready and more reliable for performance mods. One of the supporting mods needs to be the charge pipe. As I mentioned, BMW made charge pipe out of plastic. If you want to modify your car, the charge pipe is one of the first parts that fail. A decent charge pipe allows you to put more pressure safely. Another supporting mod I recommend is a oil catch can. All direct injector cars suffer from carbon buildup since the fuel isn't passing through the intake valves and rather is being fueled directly into the cylinders. The oil catch can helps catch carbon before it reaches the intake valve, therefore reducing carbon buildup in the intake valves on an N54. Spark plugs and ignition coils are another maintenance that you need to do for N54 before adding any modifications. It is recommended to change the spark plugs every 30,000 kilometers. Replacing spark plugs and ignition coils reduces the chance of misfiring. BMW N54 is one of the best tuner engines produced in Europe. Some people even call it the 2JZ of German engines. The N54 has forced internals, meaning it can handle an immense of power without requiring any expensive engine modifications. You will not face any difficulties while upgrading N54 engine. At the same time, its modification will not cost you a fortune. Standard JB4 or COP will be more than enough for a start. Stage 1 firmware will provide you up to 350 horsepower. With downpipes, performance exhaust system and oil coolers, BMS JB4 and COP Stage 2 firmware provides with 400 to 420 horsepower. This is the best bet when it comes to the tuning of BMW N54 engine. It combines power, availability, and lifespan. If you are still looking for more horsepower, with simple modifications such as a dual cane intake, catless downpipe, an aftermarket intercooler, aftermarket turbo inlets and outlets, and an engine tune, this engine can easily produce upwards of 500 horsepower. As I mentioned earlier, BMW N54 has forced internals from the factory. This means that the engine can handle high horsepower without modifying the internals. There are many examples of N54 being able to handle 600 horsepower on stock internals. The engine block is also made to be tough. There are examples of the engine block could handle upwards of 800 wheel horsepower. Here I made a comparison of BMW N54 alongside Toyota 2JZ and Nissan RB26. As you can see, these engines are very similar to each other, both in stock and modifiability. RB26 and 2JZ are both known to have high tuning potential. As you can tell, BMW N54 can also keep up with Toyota 2JZ and RB26, especially if you are looking for around 600 wheel horsepower. The biggest advantage of N54 is the availability. N54 is much more available and cheaper than 2JZ and RB26. Right now, 2JZ engines in decent condition can sell well over $10,000. Today, N54 is the cornerstone of BMW's modern performance history. It's the engine that introduced turbocharging to BMW and inspired countless car enthusiasts to push the limits. BMW is known for producing some of the greatest engines such as N55, S65 or even B58, but when it comes to tuning potential, N54 stands strong even against GNDM engines. So, is the BMW N54 the ultimate tuner engine or a maintenance nightmare? Maybe a bit of both. But one thing is for sure. It's a legendary engine among car enthusiasts. What do you think about N54? Let me know in the comments. So, what do you think? Do you think N54 is the best BMW engine ever produced, or do you have another engine in mind? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.